So now we're moving on and we're shifting gears into what we're calling the big conversation. No corporate waffle, just honest chat, no BS. This session is about leadership, allyship, mentoring, and all the messy, meaningful bits in between. James Thornton, CEO of Intrepid Travel and a massive ally, is a passionate advocate for purpose-driven businesses. And under his leadership has led to profitability and responsibility and showing that that can really go hand in hand. So under James's leadership, Intrepid has achieved major milestones from becoming a B Corp certified and experiencing record growth to navigating the challenges of the pandemic and also securing its largest ever capital raise. In 2024, the company celebrated its strongest financial results to date. James credits his journey to three remarkable women, one of whom you've already heard from today. And joining James, please welcome back the trailblazing Zina Bencheikh, along with our moderator and fearless founder of Women in Travel, Alessandra. Alonso, please welcome back.
Do you want to sit? And James, what do you want to say? Yes. Let's just go forward a little bit and happy to.
Here?
Yeah.
You here?
And you're next to James.
Thank you.
Okay. Great.
Oops.
Wonderful to have you with us on stage. And absolutely, after our keynote, let's continue with some of the themes. So, obviously, you know, I was thinking about the fact that since knowing you, Zina, sort of, I've seen you and I heard many of the stories around your ascent, your stellar ascent in Intrepid. But one of the things I think I've called you before, the reluctant MD, the reluctant boss, because I know that there is a story that goes, you know, I really didn't think I wanted this job, but then somehow I got influenced to think that I could do it. So I wonder if you can share the story with the audience.
It's still working? Yeah. No, absolutely, I can share this story. I'm very pleased to be on stage with James. James is my boss, obviously. First time for him to join Iwttf because he's based in Melbourne. So I'm really, really excited of having him and sharing the story. We haven't talked about this panel, so I'm not sure what he's going to say and what I'm going to say. So just that's going to be very, very
authentic,
authentic and real, as we one of our values is. Before James, my former boss was Nat Kidd. She's actually also in the room, so wanna actually say the story because I was a reluctant GM before I was a reluctant MD. I've been through a lot of different roles at Intrepid. I started 15 years ago, and in my first 10 years, I think I had 4 roles. One of the biggest milestone for me was to become a general manager for Europe and Morocco, and I didn't want to be. And so Nat Kidd, who was my boss at the time, asked me if I could just take the role on an acting capacity. So I was running finance, and she knew that I would say no if she just gave me the role straight away, because she knew my personality, and I just couldn't see myself being a GM. I thought I wouldn't be a good GM. I thought, I was a domain expert, and that's it. Anything outside of my comfort zone, I wouldn't be able to do. So I told her, that's fine. I'll do it for 6 months. By the time you find someone, and then we'll see what happens. Eventually, 6 months later, I kind of enjoyed the job, and I decided to, keep the job that she offered me, and it was one of the best decisions I've made in my life. A few months later, I met with James, I think for the first time in his capacity as CEO, and he was my boss at that time, but he came to Marrakesh, where I used to work, and he told me that he thought at the time that I should move overseas. So he mentioned Australia or the UK because it was a bit closer to home. He thought it would be a great move for my career. So I was like, okay, why not? A few months later, we were on a flight with my husband and 2 kids, moving our entire house to London to start a new journey. I wasn't an MD at that time. I was still in my previous job, very operational finance. I was running the EMEA region as a RGM, and I was really happy back in my comfort zone, doing things that I enjoyed. And then I was in Riga in a tour leader training, and I got a message from James, who again wasn't my boss, telling me, I need to talk to you, it's urgent. And I really thought someone died on the ground or something really big happened, and I was in trouble. So I went out of the room and I gave him a call, and he told me, there's a change in leadership in our UK office, and now that you moved in London, I think you should be the next MD. And that's a very different role from what I was doing. It was literally flipping the other side to sales and marketing while I was more in the operations side of the business. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? Really? No, hold on a minute. Just let me think about it. So we exchanged a few messages, and I asked him if I could have 2 or 3 days to think about it. And he told me, no, you have to tell me by tomorrow morning. So I called Nat, and I spoke to my family, and eventually the following morning I told him that I didn't want the job. So long story short, it took us 2 or 3 months to kind of get with the idea that I could do that job, but it's back to the same feeling that I felt I wasn't good enough, I wasn't ready, I wouldn't be capable, and that's why I turned it. But it was very interesting to see that he was seeing something different. And so, yeah, eventually he convinced me, and then I took on the job. And I'm very happy I did.
Yeah. And so
I'm very happy you did too.
Wonderful. So, James, one of the things that we often talk about as allies, sometimes you have to challenge a little bit, and I think that's what you did. You challenged Zina to elevate herself, actually. So how do you see yourself as an ally? And I guess, challenging is part of it, but how did this allyship role start for you when sort of thinking about Zina?
Yeah, I think allyship started for me in a totally different way, where someone was an ally for me. And I'm from the UK, I've got this daft hybrid accent now, so apologies for that. But I started in Islington in North London, where Intrepid, we turned over about 40 million bucks. We had a couple of hundred people taking Aussies to Southeast Asia, and we're expanding into a UK office. And first ally for me was a lady called Robin Nixon, who is one of the most influential parts of my career. She's still with us today. She's a champion of so many different people at Intrepid, and she just encouraged me a little bit, I suppose, like Zina. I was a relatively young, shy, timid British person who was given incredible opportunities by Robin, and she just really pushed me forward, and she gave me the opportunity to move to Australia and to come back to the UK. And so I kind of learned a lot from Robin around allyship. And then Zina's also referenced Natalie, and will embarrass Natalie again. Natalie's been with Intrepid for 20 years. And I saw something that Natalie did very well, was she really worked to support a wide range and group of people in the organisation to promote their kind of interests and benefits and get kind of, I guess, reward from being an ally to so many different people. So I'd seen from Robin and I'd seen from Natalie, and Zina talked the experience of coming into the role, and Zina and I are relatively the same age. We have relatively the same personality sets. We're utterly impatient. We want everything done yesterday. We speak very quickly. We argue a lot. But I just saw a real kind of similarity, and I suppose I felt that together we could be an incredible partnership, an incredible team. And I've just got a kind of lot of reward from being part of that partnership journey with Zina. And it's been, to see her on stage and do the incredible things that she does now just makes me, so proud. So that's kind of my role to moving into an ally, I suppose.
Absolutely, and I think being a cheerleader is a very important part also of allyship. So Zina, for you, what do you think are the attributes, the allyship attributes within James that have supported you the most, that have really resonated and helped you along the way?
Well, the one I just mentioned, which is also one I'm using now in my own role, is just pushing you to do things that you might not think you are able to do. I don't know many, British CEOs sending a Moroccan woman to London to run the UK market. I just think it sounds quite crazy as a move, but it was a great move, and I think that trust, that ability to, we can make mistakes when we work in James' team. He really has our back no matter what happens, as long as we react well. He can be tough as well, but he really gives us that space to make mistakes and make decisions. He knows that, if you've got the personality, you've got some of the skills that, you need, the rest will follow and you'll be fine. So, it feels very good to be able to work with a leader like this. I haven't had, a lot of managers like James and Nat Kid before, to be honest, who really enable you to make decisions, to move forward with your thinking, and just being quite imperfect in whatever role that you do, and it's okay. We'll make it work in a way, so.
So very interesting, the point about making mistakes and being allowed to make mistakes, which I think, again, often with allies, we see that with our program, that you are saying to people, look, you are not managing. you are an ally. So you are used to, because you're a senior leader, you're used to tell people what to do, but that's not the purpose of allyship, because you don't spoon feed answer. You allow people to find their own answer. You facilitate that. You empower others. So how do you, James, deal with your impatience and, sometimes perhaps having the answer, but knowing that, she also needs to work on herself, or perhaps, especially in the past, in the early days. So how do you strike a balance with supporting and empowering versus, being perhaps more of the manager, so that she can also, and Zina could also advocate for herself. So how do you find that easy, and what is that about for you? How do you get there?
I don't think I find it easy. I think it's something that develops over 20 years of your career. Yeah. So I guess one thing I've really learned is the power of listening over talking, and the concept of two ears, one mouth. But I really have developed that. When I was younger, as a sales rep, you get out and you talk a lot, talk. And then you realise as you kind of get older and develop your career more, actually the power of listening is really important. And it's my role as much as possible to listen to the ideas of our team and our people, and they're the smart ones in our organisation. And at Intrepid, we talk a lot about two things. One, having people that are hungry, humble and smart. And secondly, about the concept of respect, not harmony. And so respect, not harmony is very much about the basis that we collectively need to respect each other, but we cannot agree with each other. And to not agree with each other, we have to listen a lot. And that power of active listening is really important. I think it's something that Zina and I struggle with sometimes at times with each other, because we're both quite passionate around it. But I really have just tried to listen, and then also to ask questions. In terms of Zina's development and why she's been so amazing, is Zina is someone who is very, very passionate and very, very determined. But one of the things I see as my role in our partnership is to continue to ask Zina questions. But why? How? But when? And I also know that the very occasional times that I might say to Zina, well, how about we consider this kind of option, or we think about something else in this way? One of Zina's greatest skills that I've seen from her is, despite her very passionate approach to business, she also is really developing this amazing skill of listening and reflecting and going away and thinking about it and bouncing with her team. And that's why she'll go on to be this incredible leader, not just at Intrepid, but no doubt, within the global travel space, or indeed whatever Zina wants to do, because of that development of those skills herself of listening. And that's what's worked together really well for us.
Yeah. So I guess, James, you are really talking about you using your emotional intelligence when working as an ally and a leader. And I think this is something, again, that we talk a lot about at Women in Travel, CIC. So moving to leadership, Zina, is this sort of, in terms of the character and the traits that James as a leader has role model for you, emotional intelligence, active listening, what else? What's your sort of thoughts on the leadership trait that make also James the great leader and ally is, and that perhaps you picked up?
Yeah, I think I got tougher, which is important in business, and in a way that if you want to move forward, you've got to be able to make decisions. And I've learned that big skills from him. He's someone who listens a lot, as he said, but then at the end he needs to make decisions. And sometimes they are tough decisions, but we need to come and back them, because we need to move forward. And look at what we've been through, during the pandemic. He was the CEO still the CEO of the company during that period, which was a very complicated time for everyone. And we did make tough decisions, as all businesses had, but they were the right ones, because going out of it, we're much better business now. And I really learned a lot from that, from James.
So are you, now obviously you are a leader and an ally in your own right. How, what are the things that you do, or what are the things that you pick up on and that you apply in your allyship roles to women and men in your organization?
Well, the first one is exactly as James did with me, is I'm not afraid to put people in my team in roles that they might not think that they're ready for. And the best example is probably our general manager in Morocco, Hala, who who came from a finance banking background, wasn't a general manager per se before she joined Intrepid. And when she applied for the job, we've been through the interview processes, I've seen things in her that were really, really strong and will enable her to develop into becoming a GM. And she would tell you herself that she was really surprised that she's been given the job. And now she's probably one of our top talents globally. So this is something I've learned because it applied to me, and I'm feeling that I have to do the same with everyone else around me, and just give those opportunities to men and women who might not think that they are right for some bigger jobs, that show them that they could, and with the support, obviously, helping them to go through these transitions, because that's also very important.
Absolutely.
So they're successful.
Absolutely. So on this theme of, again, listening and your relationship and sort of being allowed to perhaps make a mistake, feedback. Have you ever given each other difficult feedback? Do you give each other feedback?
I don't know what you mean by feedback. we can fight sometimes nicely on meetings, but no, I don't know, James, we do give feedback.
I think the important thing is, like any good working relationship is one where you should have healthy debate and discourse and disagreement and have a safe space. So for me, allyship never changes. You know, you're always an ally, but you've got to have a working relationship and a partnership where it's absolutely fine and good and healthy that we must debate. And I hope, and I fully expect Zina might one day become the CEO of Intrepid, or she'll become the CEO of another very successful company.
You heard it here first.
And so, but you've got to have a relationship where you are challenging each other. And arguably, maybe because I see so much potential in Zina, I probably challenge her and maybe sometimes harder with her than I am with some of our other colleagues, because I can see the potential and see how fantastic she can be. And I think allyship isn't just, are you okay? And I'm trying to promote you and give opportunities and get to speak on different things. Allyship is about trying to improve and develop and provide different skills. And that means putting people sometimes into difficult or more uncomfortable situations, or challenging them to speak in certain things. And I use the example last year, Zina, one of the things that we do quite a lot is to get our executives to come and present to our board. And our board is a variety of Intrepid founders and our French investors and some very impressive non-executive directors. And Zina came in last year and presented to our board. And Zina's such a passionate presenter, as I'm sure you've seen and you continue to see everywhere that she goes. But one thing that she did in this presentation was just talked really, really fast and really, really quickly. And as a result, Zina didn't present herself in the best possible way to get the messaging out there. And so I wanted to go back afterwards and make sure, Zina, it was amazing energy, amazing passion, but we've got to think about the style of presentation and the key messages that we want to get through. And that's a difficult conversation, because I don't want Zina to feel that she didn't do a great job, but at the same time I want to make sure that when she gets the next opportunity to do that she continues to improve and goes forward. And as a result, Zina was fantastic, took the feedback on well. And when we went to our last board presentation, which was in Marrakesh this week, Zina was incredible, incredible. And actually, the best form of the board presentation that she did was she actually said, I'm not going to kind of dominate the presentation. I'm going to get my team to come up and talk. And our Moroccan team, and Intrepid's become very strong in Morocco through Zina's leadership, they were really the ones to shine through. And you could just see that kind of development and progress that happened over the course of the year. So I see my role as an ally to obviously support and push and provide a comfortable space, but also to provide constructive feedback so that Zina can continue to fulfill the fantastic potential that she has.
Fantastic. Anything to add?
No, I agree, and I take feedback well. In fact, after this board presentation, I was not happy with myself, so I was kind of expecting him to be a bit more, critical, and he was very, very kind of diplomatic, almost in the way that he provided the feedback. Because I don't mind, and I was glad that I was given other chances to present after that and get better in a way.
Okay. So I wanted to talk for a moment about sort of reverse allyship or reverse mentoring. We are going to talk about it later on today as well. So from your viewpoint, James, do you find that with Zina, and perhaps also with some of the other women or sort of staff and colleagues represented within Intrepid, do you feel that you get reverse mentored, whether that is done sort of in a subtle way or whether it's an open sort of declaration? And do you think that this is something that should be encouraged more of for the senior leaders in organization within the industry?
Yeah, I think one of the skills that we hopefully have at Intrepid isn't about one person. I really feel really strongly, and I see lots of companies get up and talk, and you only ever hear from like one person at the company. You know, often it's the CEO or the founder or the whatever. And I just feel like one of the really good skill sets at Intrepid that we've got this back to this hungry, humble, and smart notion that we're humble to the extent that it isn't about one person. It isn't just, you know, and it's actually not just me as the CEO or Zina as the managing director, but we have some incredible speakers at Intrepid, and hopefully you hear from a good variety of the different people, because I as the CEO do not have all the answers onto all of the different initiatives that we do. And you know, Zina has been a champion of gender equality in Morocco, changing the Moroccan government's approach, bringing in female tour leaders. That came from the general manager of our India business, who wanted to had the initiative to get more female tour leaders coming in India. So you have other people get up and speak and share their experiences. It's much more effective than come from someone like me. And so the big thing I've learned, again, it's kind of back to listening, is listen to the great people in the organisation, take their guidance, have them get up and speak and talk about their ideas. And I'll also tell you another secret: the best ideas at Intrepid do certainly not come from me. Sometimes they come from Zina, but they come from our people. And so it's back to that whole listening piece. The reason why we did women's expeditions at Intrepid, it wasn't me, it wasn't Zina, it was one of our product managers who had the initiative. So you have to create, I think we're trying to create the space of, for me, I've got to listen to the good ideas, try and champion those good ideas, make sure those good ideas are promoted by our people, and get them to speak about them on stage, and that creates the diversity of thinking that we have at Intrepid. And the last thing I just say is also it's getting comfortable being uncomfortable. Yeah. Like I'm a white male from Sussex. Like how lucky am I? Like I was born with all the utter privilege in the world. And so it's very, very easy, I guess, for me to take the approach of kind of burying my head in the sand and going off and living what is a very, very fortunate, lucky life. But I really get pushed by my team and by some of those people over there who make me go and sit in uncomfortable situations and talk about uncomfortable things, because we need to engender change. We need to create difference and push things forward. So yeah, that's kind of, it comes back to listening again.
Yeah, absolutely, and being humble, which I think you are really talking about, and which probably few more people could do with being a bit more humble nowadays in the world, I guess. How are we doing for time? Because I expect that there will be some 5 minutes. Are there any questions from the audience? Are you all, you haven't had enough coffee? Yes, please, Dan.
Is there a microphone or try?
Yes, it's coming. It's coming.
Well, shall I
Just shout.
It's coming, it's coming.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, and apologies for being a man. I'm not trying to dominate the questions. Hi, James. Good to see you. This sounds like a provocative question, but it's not intended that way. I mean, I really enjoyed hearing the advice and the experiences of allyship within the business. Although I think some of that advice applies to how you manage men as well. And I'd like to ask you that question. Do you find that you manage men in a different way to how you manage women?
I find that I manage every single individual in a different way, to be honest with you. Doesn't matter if you're male, if you're female, if you're from Australia, if you're from the UK, if you're from Morocco. So I think the role of being a good leader is about adapting your style to the individual rather than the individual having to adapt to your style. And I think that's where I've been relatively successful at Intrepid, is that it's not about the individuals have to be like I am, and I'm a certain way, and I'm a bit impatient and a bit red and get bored very easily, as Zina will attest to. It's my job to manage every single individual differently and adapt to their style. So I know that when I'm working with Zina and I have a very regular conversation, WhatsApp messages on a very frequent basis. We're talking a lot, maybe less emails. My CFO is over there. He doesn't know how to email. We've got Hazel Maguire, our new Chief Marketing Officer. You know, Hazel I'm spending more time with because trying to push Hazel on maybe the bigger thinking, because she's very, very good at the detail piece. So for me, it's about adapting my style as a leader to the individual. And that comes a bit from kind of sports background, I suppose, that you had to make an amazing team. You cannot have 11 Serena Williamses or 11 Roger Federers. You have to have a diversity of different people from different backgrounds with different skill sets, and that's how you create an amazing team. And when we've got it wrong at Intrepid is when we haven't had that right mix and diversity of team together. So yes, me adapting my style.
Fantastic, thank you. Annie? Oh, yeah, Aquila.
James, what is the biggest thing you learned from Zina? From working with her?
Biggest thing I've learned from Zina. What's the biggest thing I've learned from Zina?
Not patience.
No, not patience, not patience. I just think just nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. Zina has such kind of vision and ambition and hunger and desire. And I thought I had that before I spent lots of time of working with Zina. And she's just that appetite for development and making us a better organisation and trying to challenge the norm and the status quo, and nothing is impossible. So I find that personally really inspirational, and I think that's why I really enjoy our partnership. And it's a partnership that has in a way become a friendship as well, and just that, I get such pride seeing Zina do the incredible things that she's doing, and that's because of that hunger and desire.
One more question, and then is this the last question? Yes.
Hi, your story, Zina, of not believing that you could do a thing more than once in your professional life is one that really resonates, and it must resonate with so many women who haven't been believed in or who've been knocked back or been told that they can't do things in previous management situations. I think every single woman here will have been in that situation of being told they can't do something or they're not good enough. But you really had to be dragged out of your reluctance to do that. Do you regret that? Do you wish that you should have jumped into the situation that was offered to you straight away?
No, I don't regret anything anyway. I think given where I'm at now, it was probably just the right timing to do it. And I needed to build that confidence. I was very lucky to have managers who really believed in me and gave me the space to get around the idea that I could do those biggest jobs. But I think one thing that happened at some stage in my career where I became that general manager on an acting capacity, and I had to make that decision whether I want to confirm that or not. I was also a very young mom, and it was very complicated, as we've heard earlier from Jude, that just kind of managing the whole thing and the travel, etc. But I also realized that I was kind of becoming a role model for many, whether they were moms, whether they were Moroccan women, like there were a few women around me that were looking up. And I was thinking, if I don't do this, they'll never have a role model. They'll never look up and try to think, okay, I can do it as well. So I almost felt a responsibility, despite the fact that I knew it would be very hard. And it was very hard, many times, very, very difficult. But I almost felt that it was a mission now. And now I can't stop and look back. So next time I get a promotion, I won't say no. I will say yes straight away. and deal with it.
Great, and I think this is just a really good moment to stop and to end this fantastic conversation. Just one more thing, one tip from each of you to people in the room and to the industry. How do we make more of these really fabulous partnerships happen? How do we get better at creating an environment in which this kind of partnership can flourish?
For me, I've said it already, be willing to listen and be willing to adapt your style to find the opportunities to develop individuals. So listening and adapting your personal style.
Okay, thank you.
My tip is off context. It's not related to your question because I think I've answered that already. It's more what we were talking about earlier. We are a bloody good business because we invest in D&I, because we invest in women, we invest in diversity, we invest in our talent. The way we do it at Intrepid is just creating opportunities and creating that growth that we feel a bit unstoppable in a way. And when looking at the industry and how things are evolving for many, I almost feel that's a big missing opportunity for many. And I really hope that some of you who are new to this room will take that when you leave and try to see what you can do more to support progress to be done, because it's really working.
And I'll just add, the last thing is that businesses that do lean into it will become much stronger in the medium to long term. Yeah. And that's what we've seen at Intrepid. Absolutely. So just continue to back and support it and be confident in what you do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much again. Thank you. Okay.